What is MIPS technology? Is this really useful, or is it just a marketing tactic? Is it worth the extra cost to buy a helmet with this safety feature? That's what we're talking about today. And while we're at it, we're going to be doing a review of the Bell Qualifier DLX that you've seen in some of my recent vlogs. Stick around. What's up everyone? I'm Tim and this is my channel 40 Times Around, where we talk about everything related to motorcycles, camping, travel, and adventure. Today we're going to talk about MIPS technology, and then we'll do a quick review of the Bell Qualifier DLX that I've been using for my recent moto vlogs. Let's start with what MIPS is. MIPS is Multi-Directional Impact Protection System. It's a low friction layer in helmets that's supposed to help with rotational force. The idea is that when an impact takes place, the helmet hits at an angle. MIPS will reduce the jerking motion inside the helmet by allowing the helmet to move small amounts freely of the head and brain inside it. That motion on your brain can cause brain injuries. That is the idea behind MIPS technology. Before we get into the validity of this added protection, meaning how true is it, there is one more thing about MIPS I want to talk about. As I started to research MIPS technology for this video, a lot of questions were raised. I had heard of MIPS in the past, but I never gave it much thought. It seemed like a great idea and made perfect sense to me. Most impacts wouldn't be head-on blunt force. There would be side-to-side or front-to-back motion involved in how the helmet hits the ground. That was easy to imagine. I mean, there is forward motion after all. But as I started digging deeper, I started to wonder how true all this was. All the information seemed to be coming from the ones benefiting from higher sales. I started to wonder, even if it wasn't creating a real advantage in the event of a crash, was it hurting anything? I wondered if it was adding weight unnecessarily to a helmet. The truth about it is that it's not adding that much weight, only 25 to 45 grams depending on the helmet. Other than that, I couldn't find anything that told me MIPS could have a negative effect on safety. So even if it was hype, it didn't seem to be hurting anything, at least. It just seemed there was a lack of conclusive evidence that it actually helped. On Bell's website, who has been integrating MIPS technology into their helmet for a while now, they offer a bit of information on the technology. Again, everything they are saying makes perfect sense, but it's their lack of specific terms that made me start to doubt things. In fact, I never questioned the effectiveness of MIPS technology until I started noticing this pattern of ambiguous wording. They even use the term, "We believe that helmets equipped with MIPS technology can provide additional measures of protection in certain impacts." So did I, until the company selling them to me said, "We believe," not "This is a proven fact." There just didn't seem to be much confidence behind that statement. Now, I have a lot of faith in Bell as a company, and I think they make great products that inspire a feeling of safety for me. I want to be clear about that. I just wish they had used words more fact-based. I started to wonder if MIPS was in fact a proven technology or if this was all theory-based. They got a little more science-like when they talked about how the technology works. Basically, MIPS is mimicking the brain's built-in protection system, which has the same effect as the slip plane system in their helmets. It can potentially reduce the energy transferred to the brain, which can reduce risk and severity of brain injury. That all sounds perfectly reasonable. So lots of helmets are using MIPS technology, not just Bell. They're actually using them in all types of helmets too, not just for motorcycling. Like I said, I never put much thought into MIPS, and I bought this helmet from Bell for reasons other than MIPS, but it seemed like a nice added feature, so I didn't question it until I started researching for a video review on that helmet. And we're going to get to the helmet review soon, but I just wanted to make sure that I hadn't been duped by marketing strategy, that's all. Bell has been in business since 1954, and they have spent plenty of resources in the last 60 plus years on research and development and safety of all crash scenarios. It is true that brain injuries can be more severe when impacted at an angle rather than straight on. This is because of the strain it puts on the brain. MIPS will allow the head to move independent of the helmet for a few milliseconds, and this is what makes the difference. Bell says on their website that this critical moment of time helps to reduce the relative motion of the brain inside the skull and can potentially reduce strain to the brain caused by angled impacts. I actually appreciate that they use the word potentially here. Nothing is guaranteed in life, and I understand that. I just want to know if this technology has been tested thoroughly. So of course, DOT testing is pretty lame and it doesn't really tell us much. Their testing drops a helmet vertically on a flat surface, which is almost a perfect scenario and highly unlikely in a real-world situation. MIPS is aiming to address the more likely angled impact of a real-world crash. This is intriguing. A little history on MIPS. It's a Swedish-based company started by a brain surgeon, Hans von Holst, and Peter Halden, a researcher with a PhD in head and neck injury biomechanics. They started looking at testing helmets in more realistic scenarios. This is also intriguing. Their testing looks like this. A helmet is struck against what is essentially a belt grinder, a moving friction material that would mimic a road surface. This happens at a 45-degree angle in 3 different impact spots. They perform this test in a helmet with MIPS installed and the same helmet without it installed, and then compare the results. On the MIPS website, the frequently asked questions section, the first question was referring to them seemingly coming from nowhere a few years ago and quickly becoming the next big thing. The question was asking if this was all due to a well thought out marketing strategy. At least now I knew I wasn't the only one thinking this. MIPS responded that the reason for this was that they had been thorough in their communication with the world about the risks of rotational motion injury. I can respect that answer, but it still seemed ambiguous. Now, I agree there is an issue with rotational impact not being addressed by motorcycle helmets, and more importantly by testing standards for motorcycle helmets. I am grateful someone is addressing this issue, but has it been proven to help? It turns out that a few third parties have in fact tested this technology. On the MIPS site, they said a Swedish insurance company, Folksam, had tested MIPS and had in fact found it to be effective in their tests. I couldn't find much about the relationship with these two companies though. MIPS also stated on their website that Consumer Reports in the US and Sweden had teamed up with TestFacta, which is an editorial entity that tests all kinds of consumer products. TestFacta put MIPS to the test and also found it performed well. But this is not even an organization that tests helmets specifically, so how reliable was this? Their website seemed pretty legit, but I had never heard of them before this. I think the important thing here is that the rotational aspect of crashing is addressed in some way, and MIPS is certainly putting in some effort to help with this. There are a few other brands creating similar technology to help with rotational impact. 6D and Liat both use different systems to help with related issues in more realistic scenarios. I think the verdict here, although inconclusive in my opinion, but I think the verdict is that if it doesn't hurt to wear a helmet with MIPS technology, then it seems worthwhile. It certainly seems to have the potential to help. I just wish someone like Snell would jump in and test it out, which by the way, apparently they have according to helmet.org. But I couldn't find anything about the test on Snell's website. In any case, if it has the potential to help prevent a brain injury, then why not spend the extra $20? Just try not to go out and test it in any real-world scenarios if you can avoid it. Now a quick review of the Bell Qualifier DLX with MIPS technology. So this helmet is coming in at $269.95 US, which is a reasonable price point for a helmet with all these features. Before we jump into the 8-point review of comfort, aerodynamics, weight, sound, ventilation, visibility, safety, and overall value, let's first talk about a few of the features on this helmet. The Qualifier DLX is part of Bell's flagship Star line. There is of course the added safety of MIPS technology. This helmet also has an indent that can be accessed by removing a plate cover to install either a Sena or Cardo Bluetooth stereo unit. I actually use it to install a Sena 10S, which I'll be talking about in a future video. It also has integrated speaker pockets, another nice feature. The face shield uses a NutraFog 2 anti-fog coating, anti-scratch face shield, and their Transitions adaptive face shield, which I'm thrilled with. If you aren't familiar with that, it means that the face shield will change from clear to tinted to compensate for the sunlight or lack of sunlight. It's a pretty great feature in my opinion because carrying 2 lenses seems impractical. But both the clear and tinted visors do have their advantages. In bright sunlight, they can improve sight, distance, and depth perception. On hot days, the tinted visor can also help mitigate the heat. So there's also a velocity flow ventilation system, which is another nice feature, especially out here in the desert. There is a mouth vent in the front, 1 up top in the front, and 2 on the top. And then these exhaust ports here and here. This helmet has an impressive 5-year warranty. The outer shell is polycarbonate ABS. We talked about more in this video here where I talked about the Scorpion AT950 helmet. Now this helmet is DOT and ECE certified, which like I said in that other video, doesn't necessarily mean anything other than it's legal to wear this where a helmet is legally required. However, Bell actually has their own testing that is pretty extensive, and that is definitely a confidence boost in this helmet. And now for the 8-point reviewing system. So the comfort's good, it fits as expected. It's a very comfortable helmet. Even after a few pretty long days in it, I'm pretty happy with the comfort. As far as aerodynamics, it's very good, especially for me without the peak visor that I'm used to, which I do miss once in a while. And if you're looking for that, I would point you in the direction of Bell's Enduro helmets. As far as weight, this thing is coming in at about 1,600 grams, which is about 3 pounds, 7 ounces. It's not bad. Even on long days, this helmet doesn't cause any neck pain or discomfort. Now, as far as sound, it's very good. This is an extremely quiet helmet. And in terms of ventilation, it's decent, especially with the face shield up. I will say that some of these vents, they're not great. I don't really feel much of a difference with them. But however, I will say, I do have a GoPro typically mounted right here. This is not part of the helmet. This is something I added after the fact. And that does kind of block that front vent, so that might be part of the issue. The visibility is good. It's a pretty wide eye port. Doesn't seem to be very limiting of any peripheral vision. Really, it just kind of perfectly borders my line of sight around what I would normally be able to see. And it doesn't really cut anything out. In terms of safety rating, it's DOT and ECE rated, like I said, but I'm pretty comfortable with that, especially considering Bell's testing procedures. Now, in terms of overall value, I'm very happy with this helmet. Some of the features that really caught my eye were the transitions face shield, which is really, really cool. Just a neat feature. And also this little port where I can put my Bluetooth system. I like that it's a little bit sleeker. If this little port wasn't here, it would stick out about that far. So as far as those features go, I was really happy with this helmet. The MIPS, you know, it kind of caught my attention originally until I started looking into it. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm kind of up in the air on that. It doesn't seem like it hurts, so I guess it's a good thing. I also really like the style of this helmet, and I was looking for a helmet that I could mount a GoPro to the front for moto vlogs. So as far as those moto vlogs go, I am actually going to be doing a video pretty soon talking about my moto vlog setup, and more specifically, how I'm getting the audio with that. And so that's going to be coming out in the next few weeks. Make sure to check that out if that's something you're interested in. Anyways, overall, I'm very happy with this helmet, and I would definitely recommend it. I'll go ahead and link to it down below in the description box if you guys want to check it out. Anyways, that's my review of the Bell Qualifier DLX. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell if you want to see more videos about motorcycles, camping, travel, and adventure. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.